Hello, my name is Mohammed Khair Nisa Bajwa and this is my reflection video on what I have learned through the principle of project management module and the development of my project portfolio for a charity fundraising event at Ramsburn University, London. When I began this module, my understanding of project management was largely centered on planning as a set of documents, something you created once and then follow. Through the learning content and this portfolio, my perspective shifted significantly. I now see project management as a dynamic control discipline, a structured way to make decisions under constraints, manage uncertainty, and protect outcomes when the project is time bound, stakeholder heavy, and sensitive as a charity event is. A key learning point was how scope drives everything else. Early in the portfolio process, I realized that if a scope is weak, every downstream elements become unstable. For example, if objectives are not measurable, it becomes difficult to define deliverables, track progress, unjustify costs, and this is I focus on building the scope statement around smart objective, net fundraised, attendance targets, sponsorship comments, and a cost cap. This helped me treat the project as an investment in social impact. When where success is demonstrated through measurable outcomes rather than efforts. The most challenging part of the portfolio was turning a high level idea into integrated project system. In particularly, it is easy way to write sections that look correct individually but do not align. I initially found that difficult. The VBS schedule, Gantt chart, and RACA matrix can disconnect it if they are produced as a separate documents. The critical shift I made was treat the VBS as a source of trust and blind everything from it. Once VBS was deliverable led, scheduling became more logical because tasks had clear boundaries. I also learned that dependencies are just technical sequence. They reflect risk and governance for a fixed state event. They realized that is not task take longer, but approvals or supplies constraints trigger late changes that cannot be absorbed. This is why I structured the schedule around the decision gears such as venue confirmation, sponsor confirmation, and the final readiness review. In this reflection video, this is where my thinking evolved from planning tasks and protecting milestones. It made me more aware that project management is ultimately about reducing avoidable variance before it becomes irreversible. Another major learning area was stakeholder management. Previously, I assumed communication plan were mainly about sharing updates through these modules. I learned communication is control mechanism. It produces alignment, reduces friction, and prevents reputational risk caused by misinformation or premature commitments. For this event, international stakeholders such as facilities and compliance functions are high power stakeholders because they can directly stop delivery if requirements are unmet. Extremely sponsors and donors are high power stakeholders because they influence net raising outcomes and credibility. The stakeholder analysis forced me to think strategically about how need close engagement, how needs discussion gate update, and how needs consistent information to convert interest into attendance or donations. I found risk management particularly valuable because it pushed me to think beyond listening risk. Completing the risk severity matrix because it clear that not all risks deserve the same attendance in this project. Extreme risk are those that threaten event feasibility, safety, or fundraising values such as venue, assess failure, donation system breakdown, or sponsor withdrawal. And the most important insight for me was the mitigation must be proactive, must reactive, because it fixed date, event quality, and risk can be repaired later. This led me to build readiness checks, supplies confirmation buffer, and fallback option for critical services. I also learned to consider opportunities, not just threats, by identifying way to increase fundraising through optimizing the donation journey, scaling promotion channels, strengthens, and sponsorship ties. Quality planning was another area where my learning became more mature. At the beginning, I assumed quality meant make sure it goes well. Through the portfolio, I recognized that quality needs measurable criteria and operational controls, also, and operational reliability and stakeholder experience. I set quality objectives such as satisfaction scores and zero critical service failures because they can monitor and act upon. I also learned quality ownership should not sit solely with the project manager. Assigning clear quality responsibility to a risk and quality officers to operate leadership reduce the risk of issue being overlooked and normalized. And financially extremely also developed by applied skills. I also used a bottom-up approach aligned the VBS because it ensured traceability, improves accountability, and reduce hidden cost. And for the fundraising event, this is essential because costs directly reduce the net social value of the project aimed to create. This helped me to understand the project success in just delivery. It is value delivery. And in terms of my personal growth, I learned that leadership in project management is not only doing more work, it is about creating charity and enabling performance. Managing a 6% teams in a scenario required me to think about delegation, accountability, and decision rights. I developed decision rights. In terms of personal growth, I learned leadership in project management is not about doing more work. It is about creating charity and enabling performance. Managing a 6% team in a scenario required me to think about delegation, accountability, and decision rights. I developed a more professional leadership mindset, setting expectations early, enforcing me through the RACI, and using communication routines to keep momentum. I also learned to be comfortable with the controls because avoiding difficult decisions after create bigger problem later. Overall, this experience has strengthened me to understand of project management as a discipline that integrates planning, governance, and control. It is also influenced how I see my future role as a project manager. I now understand that professional credibility comes from clearance, coherence, aligning scope, schedule, risk, quality, and stakeholder and finance, so that discussion are constant and defensible. If we were improve this project future, this would strengthen the evidence base for the cost assumption using more supply quotation, and I would incorporate more explicit KPI reporting template for living monitor during delivery. However, as a learning outcome, I feel confident that this portfolio demonstrates my ability to structure and control complex time bound project in a realistic context. Thanks for watching this video.